Professor Fu Jun is the executive dean at the School of Government in Peking University. He's joining us now to talk more about the forum. Let me start there with a theme this year. It's Asia's new future, new dynamics and new vision. How would you define that new future for Asia?
Well, Asia, as many of the Asian countries are emerging markets, if you compare those countries with advanced economies and measure them by GDP per capita, we are way below that level of the advanced economies. So for the economy to continue to move forward, we have a lot to gain as long as the economy remains open and under conditions of globalization, we continue to close the technological gap between emerging markets and advanced economies. After all, growth is a function of people multiplied by technology. And in the case of China, China has 1/5 of the total population of the world. So far, we have been producing roughly 13% of the total GDP of the world. For the Chinese economy to perform normally, we should be producing 20% of the total GDP of the world. In other words, short term, we may have challenges to face, but if you look at the picture in the intermediate and the long term, this is the vision, and we should work hard to fulfill that vision.
You talked about challenges to face, and participants talked about some of the challenges like debt risk and volatility in crude oil prices. How do you see those issues, and what do you see as the most important to tackle?
Well, exchange rates, the capital flow. Well, we have problems because the stock market has problems. We have problems with the housing. Now, in China, at the moment, it seems there is not very bright picture in terms of those areas. So when the Chinese money is trying to find the outlets, if the U.S. central bank raises interest rate, it is reasonable to expect sort of the Chinese money will flow out. So this is another concern we should look at. But these, I think, are short-term concerns. You mentioned about the prices of commodities globally, and to me that has much to do with the expectations that we have, the confidence that people have. If the prospects in people's judgment is not very good, investment picture is not very good, they tend to slow in terms of investment. But as I mentioned earlier, there is a wide gap between the current performance that the Chinese economy has and the vision that it has. Confident, as long as people have confidence, China is still a good place to invest. And when China's economy continues to grow, commodity price will rise.
We know that China's...
It's a big economy, by the way.
Mm-hmm. We know that China's been out in front when it comes to green technology, and at Boao, the BRICS Bank says it's going to prioritize renewable energy projects. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Well,
if you look at the Chinese economy, the growth, after all, is a function of land, labor, and the capital. Land, of course, stands for the resources that Earth can produce. So far, our use of resources has not been very efficient. One figure that I have is that for every unit of GDP that we produce, we consume roughly 5 times as much as that Japan has produced. So there is much we can gain in terms of efficient use of energy. And once we close that gap, that will be a big help in terms of the green economy, in terms of, well, by the way, I also should mention that the energy structure of China is a big part of that is coal-based. Mm-hmm. So there is work that we need to be done to change the energy structure over the time.
That's right. Professor Fu Jun, thank you so much for joining us from Beijing.